Have you ever felt drained by the people around you, even those closest to you? As we age, our relationships become even more critical to our happiness and peace of mind, but not all relationships are meant to last. Some people, no matter how close they are, can slowly diminish your energy, your sense of self, and your overall well-being. In this video, we're going to dive into the 5 types of people you must avoid in old age, even if they're family. Trust me, the wisdom shared here will help you reclaim your peace and set healthy boundaries that preserve your inner tranquility. Why is it so important to recognize these types of people? Because as we get older, we need to protect our energy more than ever. By surrounding ourselves with the right people, those who uplift us, we can embrace our golden years with purpose, joy, and a deep sense of fulfillment. This video isn't just about avoiding toxic relationships. It's about creating space for the things and people who truly matter. Stick with us until the end, and you'll not only learn how to avoid these draining personalities, but also how to implement practical strategies that will help you live a life full of peace, joy, and meaningful connections. Whether it's family members, friends, or others in your circle, we'll show you how to gracefully set boundaries and preserve your emotional energy, so you can enjoy your later years to the fullest. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. 1. The manipulator. Imagine this. You're relishing a rare moment of tranquility, a gentle breeze dancing through your window, the aroma of tea filling the air, and for a fleeting moment, you are completely at peace. Then, without warning, the serenity is shattered by the ringing of your phone. A relative, once again, asking for yet another favor. At first, it's harmless, a simple request that you agree to without a second thought. After all, it's family, and surely helping them is just part of being kind and supportive, right? But before you know it, these seemingly small favors begin to stack up, slowly but surely transforming into something more demanding, more draining, and more consuming. What started as a simple, compassionate gesture now feels like a constant obligation, one that chips away at your energy and your sense of self. Manipulators are incredibly adept at exploiting kindness and generosity. They don't ask directly for what they want. Instead, they weave their needs into your sense of responsibility, tapping into your natural inclination to care for others. They often appeal to your nurturing instincts, making you feel as if it's your duty, your moral responsibility, to help them. And guilt? Oh, they know how to wield guilt like a finely honed weapon, pressuring you to say yes even when every fiber of your being screams no. It's not a simple favor anymore. It's a subtle, insidious cycle of emotional manipulation, where their convenience becomes your burden. You start saying yes out of a sense of obligation, of duty, but then, over time, you realize their need isn't truly about them being unable to cope. It's about their complete reliance on your willingness to always be there, always available, always giving. And with every request, no matter how seemingly small, it feels like a piece of your inner peace slips away, replaced by a quiet but growing resentment. In Buddhism, we are taught the sacred importance of setting boundaries, not as a selfish act, but as an essential act of compassion. Compassion doesn't mean enabling toxic behaviors or sacrificing our well-being for the sake of others. True compassion, as the Buddha teaches, begins with us. If we don't protect our peace, how can we truly offer kindness to those around us? Boundaries are not just about saying no. They are a declaration of self-respect and self-preservation, a conscious act of honoring our own needs while still holding space for others. Manipulators, however, are skilled at escalating their tactics. They might remind you of all the things you've done for them in the past, pulling at the strings of your emotions to create a sense of guilt, to deepen their hold on you. They may accuse you of being uncaring, of turning your back on them, when all you are doing is drawing a line to protect yourself. But here's the truth. Boundaries are not a rejection of the person. They are a rejection of the unhealthy dynamic in the relationship. It's not about denying someone the help they might genuinely need, but about recognizing when your ability to help has been exhausted, when the relationship has become one-sided, and your well-being is compromised. It's about making a conscious decision to stop enabling dysfunction, not out of spite, but out of a deep desire for mutual respect and healthy connection. When you find yourself in these situations, take a moment to pause. Before responding, ask yourself, does helping this person bring peace into my life, or will it drain me further? Consider the emotional, physical, and spiritual impact their request has on you. Practice saying no, not with harshness, but with kindness, and most importantly, with firmness. A simple, compassionate statement like, "I understand your situation, but I need to take care of myself right now," can be incredibly freeing. And know this, saying no is not an act of selfishness. It's an act of self-care. It's a recognition that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and that by maintaining your boundaries, you are better able to show up for the people who truly deserve your time and energy. In Buddhist philosophy, boundaries are seen as an expression of mindfulness. To set a boundary is to be present, to be mindful of your limits, to be aware of your needs, and to honor them. It's about living consciously, with intention, and choosing to protect your energy and your peace. Think of an elderly person, sitting alone in their garden, surrounded by the peaceful hum of nature. The phone rings, but this time, they let it go unanswered. Instead, they choose to savor the moment, to be fully present in the quiet beauty around them. This act is small, yet it's profound. It's a decision to prioritize what truly matters, to embrace the stillness, and to honor their own need for peace over the demands of others. By learning to set boundaries in this way, you reclaim your sense of autonomy. You create space in your life for the relationships and experiences that truly nourish you, those that bring you joy, growth, and fulfillment. You free yourself from the chains of obligation, and in doing so, you open up the possibility for deeper, more authentic connections. Imagine a life where your time and energy are your own, where you can say yes to what truly matters without fear of being taken advantage of. That life is possible, but it begins with the courage to say no, to honor your peace, and to protect your heart. And in the end, this is the greatest gift you can give, not just to yourself, but to the people who truly love and respect you. 2. The self-absorbed. In the teachings of the Buddha, we are reminded that true connection between individuals arises from empathy, deep understanding, and the willingness to see beyond our own experience. This wisdom suggests that the foundation of meaningful relationships is rooted in compassion, being able to hear and feel for another person. However, in the complexity of human nature, some individuals become so consumed by their own needs, desires, and struggles that they fail to recognize or acknowledge the people around them. These are the self-absorbed individuals, the ones who, unknowingly or not, dominate conversations and relationships with little regard for the emotional space of others. They leave you feeling small and invisible, as though your thoughts, your feelings, and even your existence are merely background noise in the soundtrack of their life. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Imagine this scene. You settle into a quiet moment with someone you care about, eager to share something dear to your heart, a memory that fills you with warmth, a story from a trip that still makes your spirit soar when you think of it. But as you begin to speak, the person across from you doesn't pause to listen, nor do they even acknowledge the significance of your words. Before you can finish your thought, they leap in with their tail, effortlessly pushing your story aside as though it were insignificant in comparison. It's not just a gentle interruption. It's a complete erasure of the moment, as if your voice wasn't even there to begin with. Their experience, their perspective, and their narrative suddenly become the center of attention, overshadowing yours entirely. With each of these encounters, the sting grows deeper. Over time, you find yourself silenced, your words lingering in the air unspoken. You may feel as though you are invisible, your experiences disregarded, as though your very presence only serves as a backdrop to theirs. These individuals often do not act out of malice, but rather from a place of deep self-focus. They may enjoy your company and truly care about you in their way, yet they are unable to extend the kind of empathy that fosters genuine, reciprocal relationships. Their inability to see you fully is not intentional, but it can still leave you feeling unseen and unheard, deeply lonely in the spaces where the connection should thrive. This imbalance can become particularly painful as we grow older. At a time when our lives are rich with memories, wisdom, and experiences that deserve to be shared and honored, the disregard of such self-absorbed individuals can feel like a subtle yet powerful denial of our worth. As we age, we may long to share our stories, our lessons, our joys, and our struggles with others, hoping for recognition, but more importantly, for understanding. When those who should be our companions on this journey of reflection fail to give us space to be heard, the ache becomes more pronounced. In the face of this, there's a delicate dance of patience and self-awareness that we must learn. When the conversation tips toward their self-centered narrative, it can be helpful to gently, yet firmly, steer the focus back toward your voice. A soft reminder like, "I'd like to finish what I was sharing. It's meaningful to me," can help realign the balance without creating conflict. It's not about confrontation, but about asserting your presence, reminding them that your words matter too. Over time, with subtle redirection, the dynamic can shift, slowly encouraging more balanced exchanges. But even with this approach, there are moments when the emotional toll becomes too much. There are times when no amount of redirection will change the fundamental nature of the interaction. It is essential to know when to protect your energy by setting limits. Spending time with someone who consistently disregards your voice can leave you emotionally drained, so it becomes necessary to evaluate whether continuing the relationship is healthy for you. Sometimes, the most loving thing we can do for ourselves is to step away from those who cannot offer the empathy and understanding we so deeply need. Instead, seek out those relationships where mutual respect and listening are the foundation. Surround yourself with people, friends, family, or even a community, who value your stories, who listen attentively, and who honor the wisdom and experiences you bring into the world. Imagine a space where every voice is welcomed and valued, where conversations are rich with laughter, warmth, and genuine connection. These are the relationships that bring joy and peace to your life, lifting you rather than diminishing you. In the broader context of Buddhism, relationships are seen as sacred opportunities to practice mindfulness, patience, and compassion. By nurturing connections grounded in mutual respect, we create environments where both we and the people we engage with can thrive. In the quiet moments of reflection, remember that your stories, your life experiences, your lessons, they are treasures. They hold profound wisdom, joy, and love that deserve to be shared with those who can truly appreciate their value. True connection is not just about being heard. It's about being understood and loved for exactly who you are, in all your depth and complexity. 3. The critic. Criticism. Oh, how it can wound, especially when it comes from those we hold dear, those we trust with our hearts and souls. The critic is a figure who lurks, often disguised as someone concerned for our well-being. With every word they speak, there's an insinuation, a judgment, veiled in seemingly helpful advice. You really should think about doing this differently, or have you ever thought of trying it this way? These phrases, cloaked in kindness, carry the heavy weight of disapproval, making us question our worth and second-guess our decisions. At first, the criticism feels like a soft breeze, almost unnoticeable, but as it builds, it becomes like a constant storm battering against our spirit. It's subtle, almost insidious, creeping into our minds and hearts, eroding our confidence little by little. Over time, it chips away at our sense of self, planting seeds of doubt that slowly grow into a forest of insecurity. Those words, those casual remarks, can slowly reshape our perception of who we are, how we act, and even how we see the world. It's like a slow, quiet poison that takes root deep within us, and before we know it, we feel like we've lost the power to trust ourselves. In moments of self-reflection, I think about Buddhist teachings, where we are told that the words of others are like arrows. They only have the power to hurt when we let them enter our hearts. It's such a profound truth. It reminds me that I can choose how I respond. Criticism, no matter how sharp or constant, only holds as much power over me as I allow it to. The moment I realize this, I can feel the burden of others' words start to lift. I'm not the victim of their projections, their frustrations, or their fears. I get to decide whether to internalize their judgment or protect my peace. When I face a critic, I've learned to pause and consider, what's the intent behind their words? Are they genuinely trying to offer constructive advice, or are they simply projecting their insecurities onto me? Often, those who criticize habitually do so because they are unable or unwilling to confront their issues. They use their words as a shield, deflecting attention from their shortcomings. Recognizing this has been a game changer. Instead of feeling defensive or hurt, I now approach these moments with empathy. I try to understand them, even if I don't agree with them. It's a reminder that we all carry our wounds, and sometimes those wounds manifest as criticism toward others. It's taken practice, but I've learned the power of responding with calm, quiet confidence. In the face of criticism, I no longer react with anger or self-doubt. Instead, I affirm my choices, standing firmly in my truth. Thank you for sharing your perspective, but I am happy with the path I've chosen for myself. It's not an aggressive rebuttal, but a simple statement that acknowledges their voice without letting it define me. It's about setting boundaries without hostility, and protecting my emotional well-being while remaining true to myself. Sometimes, though, it's necessary to create space. If a relationship is defined by a constant undercurrent of negativity, judgment, and disapproval, it's okay to distance yourself. It's not about being petty or spiteful, it's about self-preservation. Protecting your peace means removing yourself from situations and people that drain your energy and spirit. You deserve to be surrounded by people who uplift you, celebrate your victories, and accept your flaws without casting judgment. Imagine, if you will, a peaceful afternoon in your garden. The sun is filtering through the leaves, and there you are, tending to the flowers that bloom with vibrant life. A neighbor's critical comment drifts through the air, but instead of allowing it to disturb your peace, you smile gently and return to your task. You've built your own space of tranquility, one that criticism can't touch. It's a beautiful image, a reminder that we are the guardians of our peace. No one else has the power to disturb it unless we permit them. In embracing this mindset, we honor ourselves and the life we've built. Our worth is not tied to the opinions of others, and our happiness does not depend on their approval. It's a powerful act of self-love to choose to focus on what uplifts us, what inspires us, and what helps us grow. When we do, we create a space where our true selves can flourish, free from the weight of unwarranted judgment. Our peace is ours to protect, and in protecting it, we allow ourselves to thrive. 4. The irresponsible. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Dealing with an irresponsible person can feel like being constantly caught in a whirlwind of unmet promises and unfulfilled responsibilities. These individuals seem to thrive on others shouldering the weight of their struggles, whether it's emotional, financial, or even practical. At first, their requests might seem harmless, maybe even reasonable. A small loan to cover a sudden expense or a quick conversation to get them through a tough day. You might extend your hand in kindness, thinking your support could bring them the change they claim they need. But over time, this cycle doesn't just continue. It intensifies, and the promises they make become increasingly empty, like words without substance. Every time they ask for help, it starts to feel like a deeper drain, a deeper weight placed on your shoulders. These people are not just asking for assistance, they are silently demanding that you rescue them from the consequences of their actions, and what's worse, they rarely take the steps necessary to improve their situation. The kindness you offer, the emotional energy you pour into them, becomes an endless abyss that swallows more than you ever imagined. And what do you get in return? A sense of depletion, emotionally exhausted, sometimes even financially drained. The peace you've worked so hard to nurture in your own life begins to crumble under the weight of their neglect and irresponsibility. It starts so innocently. One request here, a promise there. But soon, you realize that their sense of accountability is as fragile as paper. They rely on your generosity as a safety net, but this safety net soon turns into a trap, a cycle where you feel compelled to fix their problems and relieve their burdens. And that is where the emotional toll begins to mount, unnoticed at first, then gradually taking root in your heart, your mind, and your very spirit. It's a heavy price to pay, one that doesn't come with any gratitude or appreciation. It just becomes expected. The emotional drain is palpable. The joy that once filled your life starts to fade, replaced by a sense of obligation and burnout. In the teachings of Buddhism, we learn that karma is the natural law of cause and effect, where every individual is responsible for their actions and the consequences that follow. But by constantly jumping in to rescue someone from the repercussions of their behavior, we rob them of their growth and self-awareness. We interfere with their karmic path, preventing them from learning the essential lessons of responsibility and resilience that life, in its wisdom, is trying to teach them. They are denied the opportunity to rise, to stumble, and ultimately to stand tall on their own 2 feet. Instead, we become the crutch that keeps them from walking on their own, forever reliant on others to shoulder their burdens. True compassion is not about endless self-sacrifice. It's about balance, a harmony that honors both the needs of others and the sanctity of your well-being. It's not always easy to acknowledge, but at some point, you must come to terms with the fact that you can't be everything for everyone. It's not selfish to care for yourself first. It's one of the most loving things you can do for others. Compassionate detachment. This is the key. It means offering your care without letting it become your burden, without letting someone's irresponsibility weave its way into the fabric of your own life. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you don't care. Quite the opposite. It's an act of profound self-respect. You might say, I care about you deeply, but I cannot take this on for you. Perhaps there are other resources or options you could consider. This doesn't strip away your empathy. It simply asserts that you deserve to protect your own mental and emotional health. You are allowed to set limits. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to carry every burden. It's also important to shift the dynamic from one of fixing their problems to offering guidance that empowers them to find their solutions. For example, instead of bailing them out financially, suggest they seek advice from a financial counselor or offer them practical steps like creating a budget. By giving them tools to succeed rather than solving the problem for them, you allow them to grow and learn. You help them build their resilience, which is ultimately more valuable than anything you could give them at the moment. Think of the peaceful image of an elder lighting incense at a home altar, taking a quiet moment to reflect, pray, and center themselves. This is the essence of emotional detachment. The ability to acknowledge what does and doesn't belong to you, and the courage to let go of the burdens that weigh you down. It's an act of self-care, a sacred practice of mindfulness that allows you to hold on to the tranquility and joy that you deserve, especially in your later years. And as you walk this path, know this: letting go of the need to rescue others is not cruelty. It's an affirmation of your worth. It's a declaration that your time, your energy, and your peace are too precious to be consumed by someone else's choices. In your golden years, you deserve to explore, care for yourself, forge meaningful connections, and bask in the joy of life's simple pleasures. You have earned that right. By setting clear boundaries and focusing on your well-being, you not only preserve your peace but also encourage those around you to take responsibility for their own lives. In doing so, you foster a healthier, more fulfilling life for yourself and those you care about. And isn't that the greatest act of love, to empower others while protecting your peace? 5. The ungrateful. There is a profound, almost sacred joy in giving. When your heart opens wide, and you offer a part of yourself to another, whether it's a simple gesture or a grand act of kindness. It's an experience that nourishes the soul, fills you with warmth, and connects you deeply with others. But there's nothing more crushing, more disillusioning, than the sting of ingratitude. To give, to pour your heart and energy into something, only to be met with indifference or, worse, an entitled disregard for your efforts, can feel like an emotional burden that drains not only your spirit but your will to continue. The ungrateful person takes everything you offer without a second thought, never acknowledging the care and love you've put into your actions. Slowly, over time, the toll of such interactions becomes impossible to ignore. You begin to feel unseen, unappreciated, and utterly disheartened. What was once a source of joy, the act of helping or being there for someone, now becomes a quiet, lingering sadness. It's as though the very act of kindness has lost its meaning because it is no longer cherished by the one it was meant for. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Think of the times you've lovingly prepared a meal for someone, spending hours in the kitchen, only to be met with complaints about the dish or, perhaps worse, complete disregard for your effort. Or the times you've offered your emotional support during someone else's hardship, only to be left in silence when your own heart needs healing. It's these moments that can erode your sense of self-worth and leave you questioning the value of your generosity. Yet, in the teachings of Buddhism, we are reminded that true generosity is not dependent on recognition or repayment. It is an offering made from the heart, with no strings attached, simply because it is in your nature to give. But even the Buddha would acknowledge that there is a point when the balance shifts, when giving becomes an endless cycle of emotional depletion. When we continually give without receiving so much as a word of thanks, it's as if the joy of giving slowly dies. The energy we expend, our love, our time, our resources, begins to feel like it's being squandered. And this realization can be heartbreaking. Kindness, after all, is a gift. It's a precious thing, and like all treasures, it deserves to be treated with respect. When this respect is not forthcoming, when it is ignored or worse, taken for granted, the toll becomes not just emotional, but physical too. Our hearts ache, our spirits shrink, and the joy that once fueled our acts of kindness evaporates. This is when we must pause and take a long, hard look at the relationships we are maintaining. Are they rooted in mutual respect, or are they based solely on one person's expectations? We must ask ourselves, do these people genuinely value what we bring to the table, or have they come to see our generosity as something they are owed, a right they can take without offering anything in return? It's a painful question to ask, but one that can save you from the slow erosion of your emotional well-being. In these moments, it is crucial to reassess where we place our energy. Consider giving to causes or people who truly appreciate your efforts. I have personally found great peace in volunteering for community groups, where the gratitude is palpable, where every thank you is heartfelt, and where I can see the immediate impact of my actions. Imagine being a part of a community center, sharing stories with children, organizing meals for those in need, and receiving the warmth of genuine smiles and thanks in return. This exchange, simple yet profound, can breathe new life into your spirit, making you feel valued and appreciated once again. Equally important is reflecting on why we give. Giving should fill us with a sense of fulfillment, not frustration. It should bring peace, not resentment. But when we give only to meet the unspoken expectations of others, when we pour ourselves out for those who can't even bother to acknowledge our efforts, the joy of giving fades away, leaving only exhaustion in its wake. In these moments, we must let go of the need to please people who cannot see our worth, and who do not recognize the preciousness of our gifts. Instead, let us embrace those relationships that uplift and inspire us. Let us find joy in those who cherish us, not for what we can do for them, but simply for who we are. Imagine a life where your kindness is met with sincere gratitude. Picture a world where the people you give to truly understand and value your contributions. This reality is not some distant fantasy. It is within your reach. It's a life you can cultivate by carefully choosing where to invest your time and energy. Your golden years, those years that should be full of reflection, peace, and joy, should not be marred by frustration or unmet expectations. They should be a time of deep connection with those who truly appreciate the depth of your soul. In the end, protecting your heart from the sting of ingratitude is one of the most vital acts of self-care you can practice. Prioritize your well-being and focus on meaningful relationships, and you'll find that the beauty of giving can remain a part of your life without leaving you feeling drained. It's time to safeguard your heart, preserve your energy, and keep the joy of giving alive, because kindness, when given and received with love, is one of life's most precious treasures. As we reflect on the power of kindness, the weight of ingratitude, and the importance of setting boundaries in our relationships, I hope you've gained some valuable insights about the true meaning of generosity and the importance of preserving your energy for those who truly appreciate it. So, what have you learned so far? What will you take from this video and apply to your life moving forward? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please comment below and share one thing you've learned today that you will put into practice in your life. Let's create a community where we uplift one another, learn from each other, and encourage growth in all areas of our lives. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more insightful content. Your support means the world.